Greetings and welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Health Based and Wealth Show. My name is Velan Hawkins, and I am your host. I am so excited today to be here with special guest, Peter Goldstein. Peter and I actually go way back, 2015, 16, 17, something like that. Seems like almost a lifetime, but I don't know anyone who has a bigger vision for what we're able to imagine in the world than Peter does. And I'm so excited to be aligned with what he's doing, the projects that are going on, and just his way of thinking about imagining a world of healthy people. So before we get started, and I bring on this amazing man, I want to tell you a little bit about him because he is truly a man on a mission. He's the founder of HippocratesDocs.com, a platform that's united the voice of doctors and health practitioners all across the globe who are whole plant vegan practitioners and doctors who want their patients to become more knowledgeable of this way of life. And he's passionate about helping others to understand the best way to be and approach others about this lifestyle. Directing people to incorporate changes in food and lifestyle to heal and help others. Peter brings a clear message that there is a solution for our worsening chronic disease epidemic, and it is a whole foods, plant-based, no sugar, salt, and oil added vegan lifestyle. He's also the creator, founder of the weDIDit.Health grassroots effort to support those who've experienced significant improvements from a whole food, plant-based vegan lifestyle, about using lifestyle and food as medicine to share their stories and amplify their voices and be supported in the methods and the psychology of change for the benefit of others. We're going to talk about that and Peter's shared vision as we imagine a world of healthy people because of how they live and what the world could look like as and when that happens. So thank you, Peter, for being here. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much, Velan. I'm so honored to be here with you and to be here in front of everybody who's going to watch this this podcast. And hello, everybody, and thank you, Velan, for having me.
Well, I'm excited to have you. I've been wanting to have this conversation for so long, and everything happens in its right time, right?
Absolutely.
So let's just start off by tell our audience a little bit about you, your journey towards having this vision of a healthy world and helping those who have used this method of a whole food plant-based diet and lifestyle to change their own lives and how you're helping them to help others.
You bet. Well, thank you for that question, Velan. And so for me, I've been advocating for a whole food plant-based lifestyle to prevent and reverse chronic diseases for quite a while. And with the work that I've been doing to feature doctors in various ways of being healthier with a whole food plant-based lifestyle, I've noticed how frustrating it was for me to look to inspire others to take a look at it. And it's just amazing for me that this is such an absolute truth. I mean, you drop a ball and it falls to the ground. You eat a whole food plant-based, no salt, sugar, oil lifestyle and lose weight and feel better and prevent and reverse chronic diseases. And so much evidence is there. And so many of the doctors love it because it is evidence-based, and doctors are evidence-based. Everything they learn and do is evidence. So there's always research, there's peer-reviewed, scientific, unbiased research behind everything that doctors like to look at and do. And as I was looking to share this opportunity with other people who would be overweight and diabetic and having heart conditions and everything else, aches and pains, and a whole food plant-based diet reverses and prevents all kinds of things, because what it does is it supports our immune system. It prevents and reverses inflammation, which is at the root of all the diseases. So this is about supporting our immune system with what it needs to take care of our bodies. And so I try to share that with people who really need help with their health and would be on all kinds of medications and grossly overweight and on and on and on. And they just didn't want to hear it. And some would just walk away, and others would bar me from being with them and all kinds of things. And to me, this is just unbelievable. And so I felt like, wow, there has to be a way that we can reach people, and so many people need this. And you know, knowing that myself and we're all such compassionate people, and people who are whole food, plant-based, and vegan, compassionate vegans, we really care about so many things, and for us to not be heard when we have such an important message is so frustrating. So that's what led to the idea of let's see what we can do to show them. So, you know, the first concept that we started with is the scoreboard. So if you go to weDIDit.Health and answer the simple one-question survey that asks you, so how are you benefiting from a plant-based diet? And it's a simple one-question survey, one multiple choice question, check all the boxes that apply. And then if you have a success story you'd like to share, there's an opportunity to leave that also. And then the idea here is that, you know, these people who just, I don't know what's going on in their minds, and there's all kinds of things going on in their minds, and some just react like, wow, this is too good to be true, and how can something reverse diabetes and reverse cardiovascular disease, and can how's it possible that people who were even scheduled for bypass surgery weeks before their surgery just changed their diet and end up being healthier than they could ever be on with surgeries and medications? So then the idea came that, well, the evidence we really need is the numbers of people benefiting from this lifestyle. So that's where the idea for the scoreboard came from. So we need you to participate in it, and everybody who's plant-based, we'd like to have you on the scoreboard, so together we can show the world the magnitude of the numbers of people who are benefiting. I mean, imagine, you know, somebody who's diabetic and being able to say, but you know what, look at the scoreboard. We have 385,000 people on there who have reversed type 2 diabetes, people who've lost weight, people who are benefiting, people bypass surgery. So hoping that will catch somebody's curiosity, so that they say, well, you know, maybe there's something here that I need to check out for myself. And then, you know, so from there, as things progressed, that was doing the strategic planning and analysis kinds of things about what's behind this, and really realized that the big picture here is about inspiring other people. So then we expanded on the vision, on the mission. Well, the mission stays the same, but it expanded on the strategies. And now we're at a point where we realize that what we want to do is to find better ways to communicate, so we can be heard. So we're bringing in, really the strategy here is to bring in experts from other disciplines to help us communicate more effectively and be more successful. So we're bringing in psychologists and people who specialize in leadership and interpersonal communications, and maybe even sales, so that we can learn how to listen, how to find the opportunities to communicate our messaging. So with that, we have a huge event coming up on June 23rd, and tickets are available at weDIDitSummits.com. So please visit that site and join us on June 23rd. We're going to have a certification program. So anybody who attends will then be able to be certified as a grassroots ambassadors, meaning that we have more confidence. We can learn a little bit about the psychology of how we can find the opportunities, how to meet people where they are, how to listen better, how to draw people out to really express what concerns they really have that otherwise they might not want to share with us. So June 23rd, and with our event, we really have a number of doctors at our event, and I'm thinking we have 4 doctors, and really only one of them is a medical doctor. So of the 4 doctors, we have 2 that are psychologists. Dr. Angela Crawford, who wrote the ebook. So our free gift to you for participating in the survey is a free ebook, and that's called 7 Best Practices to Inspire Our Loved Ones to Be Plant-Based. And she'll be speaking. And another psychologist, Dr. Marla Friedman, will also speak. The 4th doctor is a medical doctor. The 3rd doctor is Dr. Salish Rao. And Dr. Salish Rao, his organization is Climate Healers. So as it turns out, when we become plant-based, it's really to serve 3 main purposes. So it is our health, but then also animal justice and animal compassion. And it's just, I didn't know this as I'm doing this work. I'm really learning. A year ago, I started learning how amazingly horribly animals are treated and slaughtered and injected with growth hormones and all kinds of really horrific things going on. And I don't even want to get into it. It's just so ugly. But our work really benefits 3 communities: health, the vegan community for animal justice and compassion, and the climate healers. So Dr. Salish Rao, who's going to be speaking he'll be on one of our panels. His organization is Climate Healers, and Climate Healers is showing us how, in fact, one of the biggest offenders to climate change is the fact that we eat animals. So the biggest producer of methane is cows belching. It's not cars. It's really animals that we cultivate to eat. And the amount of water it takes I think 2,500 gallons of water to get 1 pound of meat. The grains that we feed the cows, we could actually feed the world. That we could end world hunger if everybody was plant-based. If we stopped feeding all our food to the animals, and we could feed the world. So just really amazing. So we're going to get into some of that with the summit. Those are just some of the many topics that this impacts. And so also with the summit, we're launching our community. So as you purchase a ticket for this event, you're going to get 3 things. You're going to get all this content. You're going to be certified as an ambassador, and you're going to get a 3-month membership in our premier community. And so our community is all about supporting each other so that we can have people we can talk with about special situations we may run into in our process to inspire people we care about, but also community to support each other, because so many of us are so deeply hurt by the rejection that we get, the abuse we get from people who don't understand it, people don't want to hear about it. So community is very important. And so with this event, we're launching our community to support each other, both in inspiring people we care about, but as well as helping each other deal with the rejection and sometimes abuses that we have from other people.
And Peter, you've made this so completely amazingly available to people. You've got an in-person opportunity to be a part of the summit and a virtual opportunity. Tell us a little bit about why you did that.
Well, that's a great question, Veland. Actually, things just morphed. I had the opportunity to do a little event in person here in Cleveland, Ohio on June 23rd. We're doing it in cooperation with the National Health Association. They're having their annual conference the day after ours. So their conference is 3 days, ours is one. And they suggested that we do something, and I thought it was a great opportunity. And honestly, Veland, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And of course, it's really fun. It's really great. It's great trouble to get into. But things just morphed and grew, and this it turned out to be an opportunity to get more clarity on what the community would look like, and take the opportunity to create the certification program, which then is based on our ebook by Dr. Crawford, which is the free gift when people fill out the survey at weDIDit.Health. And so we're getting this little opportunity to bring a few people together has really mushroomed to be maybe 100-fold what it was initially.
Well, and
And
I
so-
want to encourage our audience, if you are in or around the Cleveland area, put it on your calendar, June 23rd. I will have links at the bottom of this video so that you can get your tickets and get them early. But we would love to have you. And
Absolutely.
if you are in this vegan community, invite your communities, because one of the things that we recognize, and I want to ask you about this too, is, you talked about the fact that we've had a lot of frustration as we've been trying to communicate the benefits that we experience from adopting this lifestyle. And one of the things that I've learned is that there are people who've lived this lifestyle for decades. And you talked about the science. I know you and I go back to the philosophy of Hippocrates and pre-Hippocrates that really brought Hippocrates to saying, let food be thy medicine and thy medicine be food. And how is it that you actually see change coming about? I mean, I know we're not going to see rapid change, but if, you talked about community starts small, it grows. Tell us a little bit about what you're imagining with that.
Well, and there's so many other people doing so many wonderful things. There's doctors and healthcare professionals and coaches and chefs and on and on. There's lots of people, and we're to the point where we're gaining mass and gaining lots of energy. And so I see us participating in a unique way, because our whole approach then is to empower the consumers, the grassroots ambassadors, we're calling the consumers, to empower us to be more effective, to be more comfortable, to help other people who we care about. And there's so many documentaries, there's so many things going on, but essentially I'm seeing it, there's all this information, all these resources out there, and we all know lots of people who would benefit. And so in a sense, what we're doing is we're offering these people to be their personal curator for all this information, all these resources. So for example, I see our ambassadors, the consumers that become now ambassadors, to be able to step into that role, so that after going through a certification, becoming part of the community, we have that, we're empowered, we have that confidence, we can step into this role of where we have just been rejected and pushed back so much, we can with pride step into it and say to somebody, I've just been certified, and by the way, if you have any questions, it's very powerful. Being plant-based is very powerful for health. And if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if you know anybody who's looking for a solution to their disease, I'm here to be your personal curator for all that information, all the resources. There's lots of hope. There's lots of opportunities to reverse the suffering. So let me help you find the information that's right for you. And by adding that aspect, I think that we will contribute in getting the momentum this movement deserves. Because for me, one of the things that I find mind-boggling is that, you know, the National Health Association actually has been around for almost 75 years advocating for health through a plant-based diet. And honestly, I'd love to know what the numbers are, but I'm estimating that less than 1% of the world is whole food plant-based. And perhaps 3 to 5% are vegans for animal justice and animal compassion. But that's nothing. That is such a tiny percentage. So after 75 years, and the vegan movement's been around for the same time, and just to me, it's just mind-boggling that we have such powerful truths, and we really are compassionate people. So to care about the animals, to care about our own health, and almost nobody's doing it. Virtually nobody's doing it.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the statistics. You brought in, you know, the 1 to 5%. What are the statistics as far as, you know, the number of people who are suffering? I often say that, you know, the last time I checked, it was like more than half of our population is suffering from some chronic illness or some illness that doctors have convinced them is incurable, when we have seen person after person after person actually be cured. For example, lupus. So with that said, tell us a little bit from the statistical perspective that you have that actually can help us to feel more grounded and really know that there's this great need that we're talking about.
It's a huge need. And, you know, statistics are one thing, and I apologize. I wish I had a deck of statistics, but, you know, probably the thing that speaks the most is I've seen Dr. Furman, one of the leaders and original heroes of the whole food plant-based community. I've seen him speak one time, and he stated that probably 97% of the population could be healthier. So if you just look at people being overweight, so if anybody's substantially overweight, being overweight is not so good in itself, but it's really an indication of lots of other things going on. So, you know, I think all that really matters here is that most of us can use better health, and we can get it through lifestyle. You know, I question, like, when is somebody sick? I mean, is somebody diabetic, or, you know, or has a heart condition when the doctor writes a prescription? So yesterday they were healthy, today they have a disease. And I would say no, certainly not, because the day before somebody walked into the doctor's office, they were diabetic, they just didn't diagnose it. So when you look at, I've seen some very interesting studies, and these studies really show that most people are not healthy. I've seen one study, there's one study where they do autopsies on soldiers who die in combat and in duty, and they've done autopsies on these 20-year-olds, and every one of them is showing plaque in their arteries. So there's the beginning of cardiovascular disease at 20 years old. So, you know, the question is, when are we healthy and when are we sick? Is it the moment the doctor declares us as being sick, or is it when the plaque starts building up? So, you know, for the question of the numbers, the percentages, you know, the fact is that just about everybody could be healthier, and that's all that really matters. And eating a whole food plant-based diet and no salt, sugar, and oil, or at least limiting it depending on where somebody is the thing to do. And it's proven. I mean, I've seen Dr. Esselstyn, for example. He's taken people whose cardiologists have given up on them. They've had bypass surgeries, they've had all the meds they can have, everything. The doctor says, there's nothing else I can do for you. And here comes Dr. Esselstyn. He puts them on this very strict diet. His diet is stricter than everybody else's. very strict diet. And these people who were supposed to die in 6 months were thriving decades later. They are thriving decades later. So, and I say his is very strict. So he has the science that shows that oils, for example, are hard on our arteries, on the endothelial layer in our arteries. And, I'm not a doctor or scientist, so I can't really talk a lot to it. But essentially, he's done all this research, and he shows that any amount of oil is bad. So, somebody whose cardiologists have given up on them, they need to be a lot stricter. Everybody is, of course, better off for being on a strict diet, but there's a little bit of controversy. Dr. Esselstyn says absolutely no oil. So for him, he can reverse cardiovascular disease even when somebody's cardiologist has given up on him. But what he does is there's no oil, for example. So not even avocados, not nuts, not any kind of oil is his version. Then other doctors say, well, no oil, but our brains need a handful of nuts. So the oil we get out of a handful of nuts every day, our brains need a little bit of oil. Dr. Esselstyn, he's been very successful with that oil. But essentially, the core of it, 99% of this diet is the same across the board. It's the same thing that helps arthritis go away. It's the same thing that reverses type 2 diabetes. And everybody could be healthier, it's to me, it's not so much about dying. It's really the suffering before dying. And, again, Dr. Furman said, our bodies, people were built to live long and die fast. So he says we should be living to be about 100 and die overnight and not suffer for 2 decades with these chronic diseases.
And, you bring up a good point with that as well, because as we are older and suffering, excuse me, it impacts the lives of others, because we then need caretakers, and, our caretakers are suffering, seeing us suffer. And I mean, it creates such a huge ripple effect that honestly is unnecessary. We've learned that it's unnecessary. And I love one of the things that the certification program brings out, and that is the psychology behind change. One of the things that, and I'm really happy to see Dr. Crawford and knowing that, the conversation is going to be there, because I think that's one of the biggest things, So with that in mind, what would you say are some of the biggest barriers to change in this, to something that people inherently and probably intuitively know is going to improve their lives, to improve their health? What are some of the barriers to change that you've seen people stand in?
Well, that's a great question. And honestly, Velan, if I had the answers, then that'd be a whole different story. And, my mission with all this work is to find those answers. And that's why we're bringing in the experts from other disciplines to help us find the answers. And it's not a simple answer. So everybody's different. Everybody we care about is different. Some people care about politics. Some people care about sports. Some people learn better by watching a video. Other people learn better by reading a study. So, the information is there. So, and it's such a mystery. I mean, there's so much information. There's so many documentaries. Dr. Greger with nutritionfacts.org, his organization's mission is to review every study on nutrition, right? And as he says, so we don't have to. So he has an organization, and I saw him talk about 4 or 5 years ago, and at that time he claimed that his organization reviewed, and if I remember this correctly, 27,000 studies that year. So there's probably 100,000 studies out there that have shown the benefits of a whole food plant-based diet. And the studies he looks at is the impact on our genes, the impact on telomeres, and it gets very technical beyond what I understand. But all this research that shows that we can prevent cancer from spreading in most cases, and we can just do all this. So what's causing it? I think it's at the root of it, like everything else. It's people's beliefs, and people believe, and that's the kind of stuff we want to get into. So I had an experience a couple weeks ago where I went for a teeth cleaning, not just one tooth, but all of them, get my teeth cleaned. And as I was sitting down in the dentist chair, the hygienist says, making conversations, she says, "So what do you do?" And my response was, "I advocate for healthy eating." And she says, "Oh, that's so hard to do." Right? So that's it's our beliefs. People believe it's hard to do. People, whatever it is, and many of our beliefs, then you can track it back. It comes from the advertising. I mean, a milk does a body good. The Milk Industry Association, the association as a group, not individual companies, but as a group, they have a budget of $250 million a year in the United States to make us believe that milk does a body good. And of course, all the research says otherwise, and people are wising up to it. And that's why I believe it was Cargill, the largest milk distributor, producer, the largest, went bankrupt a couple of years ago because these beliefs are changing, because people are saying, you know what, there's alternatives to cow milk. I can have nut milk, I can have coconut milk, whatever. And so that really caused such a shift that the biggest producer went bankrupt. And so it's beliefs, and it's really about us breaking down our beliefs, about us looking at the truth rather than the propaganda that's being disseminated by people who have an interest in a financial interest, and they're just very comfortable in their current business models, because a milk producing company can just as easily be putting coconut milk, or not almond milk or soy milk or any kind of milk. They could be bottling that just as easily as cow milk. And so they need to change their business model, and they are changing, and they will change it. But they're comfortable doing what they're doing, and just keep doing what they're doing, and keep telling us that, milk does a body good. And then they put out these commercials of a happy cow in a pasture, and this is where your milk is coming from. What is just such falsehood? So beliefs are at the very beginning of it, at the foundation of it. So looking to change beliefs, looking to yeah, and that's our mission. Then it's to inspire somebody to be curious, to look at a different truth, a different reality, and that's at the core of it. And we know that to do that, there's so much wonderful information about nutrition, about our body, about our physiology, how things work in our body. But what we're doing that's unique and different is we're bringing the other disciplines to the table. We're really looking at the psychology of things. We're looking at interpersonal communications. We're looking at the importance of community. How do we support each other? So, and back to your original question, I don't have the answers. That's why it's such an honor for me, because we have the most amazing people coming together. We have amazing people who say, this is something that the world needs, and I want to be part of it. So we're getting together to explore and find the answers. And it's my honor to have started the platform where everybody, all these really brilliant, wonderful, amazing, caring people can come together, and together we can figure out how to make this a better world.
I love it. I love it. And gosh, I had my next question and it just left me. That was so good. So let me ask you this. Just totally switching gears here, but not. I have been on this journey and totally more so since I met you and began to really interview some of the doctors and health practitioners that we've been able to be blessed to hear not only their stories, but what they are advocating for particularly. And many of these doctors have appeared in documentary series and documentaries. Tell our audience what's your favorite documentary, or what is, if somebody said, I'm this, what would you kind of direct them to as far as your favorite documentaries?
And again, see, that's what we're looking to do, is to be personal curators and to be able to know and have at our fingertips the most appropriate information for somebody. So what's my favorite documentary? Well, I had a couple occasions to share them. And so I was out for my favorite hike, and I get back to the car at the trailhead, and this guy comes running, and he had this amazing run, and we start a conversation, and he's not plant-based. So he's into working out, he's into the physical side. So seeing that, I recommended to him that he watch the Game Changers. So the Game Changers is all about athletes, and probably most of you have seen this, but it's about athletes, it's about bodybuilding. It's just totally surprising, the people who are into building muscle and athletes and stuff, that really some of the most successful athletes attribute part of their success to being plant-based. So that's what I recommended to him. I run into somebody who's concerned about the climate. I recommend that they watch something like Cowspiracy. So depending on where the people are coming from, and that's really at the core of what we're wanting to do, is we're going to package the information so that as an ambassador, I can go through my day, run into a woman who's pregnant, and we have a conversation, and she shares with me that she's having challenges and she's not plant-based. So I have no idea what to tell her at this moment, but I want to have a library that I can come back to. So let's say Dr. Smith, who's a pediatrician, she has offered a handful of her favorite resources to tell somebody who doesn't know anything about plant-based. So we're going to build this library of very highly focused, curated information, so we can have that available. Or the guy who was running, if I sense some curiosity, I want to be able to show him not just the Game Changers, but perhaps some of the other studies, the documentaries, the success stories. And so that's it varies. It really depends, and there's no one answer. And perhaps that's the kind of thing that got us in trouble. We get so excited about this opportunity to be healthier, to help the planet, to help animal justice. We get so excited. We think one size fits all. So maybe, my favorite documentary may be Forks Over Knives, which is one of the classics. And so I'll go tell everybody, go watch Forks Over Knives. Well, that doesn't connect with them. So we end up being pushed away, and then pretty soon we're labeled as some kind of a nut, on a soapbox, and then we really are working against ourselves, because now we're building this wall. So to be able to prevent building the wall, to be able to get through with the most appropriate information at the best time. So rather than hammering away at somebody, looking for the opportunities where they're interested. So it's a very individualized, personal thing. And that's our mission, is to take ourselves as consumers who have benefited and find and learn and develop and package the most appropriate, the best information, the best listening skills, the best communication skills we can have, because I know that by doing that, we're going to make a difference in the numbers of people that are healthier, that are taking care of the planet and the animals. And let's get that couple percent to be, well, it really should be 100%. And maybe that's not realistic because, I look at it like smoking cigarettes, so the story behind that is that I've heard Dr. Greger, who looks at all the studies, he actually said that it took 6,000 studies linking lung cancer to cigarette smoking before the government said, okay, maybe we'll put a label on cigarettes. 6,000 studies, right? And with 6,000 studies, with the labels, with the laws that we have in place now where people aren't allowed to smoke, you would think that 100% of the people would not be smoking. Nobody would be smoking, but there's some people who still smoke. So, no matter what we do, and hopefully someday we'll have a smoke-free world and nobody will be smoking cigarettes. So it's very similar to the food. I mean, some people just want to die and suffer. Some people, they unfortunately, and I don't want to get into the psychology, but that's also what we're looking at is why is it that somebody wants to suffer, and how is it that maybe we can help them stop their suffering and change their psychology so that they can, our vision. So our mission, our vision is for a happy, healthy vegan world. So part of it is to be happy and healthy. So it's and we need to be vegan for the animals and for the planet.
Wow, that's really, really insightful and deep, because it's really a serious issue when you've got the perspective that I would rather suffer than do what it takes to change, to live a healthier, happier life.
Yeah.
And spread that energy versus the suffering energy. And I think that, it's also goes back to, culture, the culture that we grew up in, and the socioeconomic status that we grew up in. People were said to were told and believed that it's cheaper to eat cheaply junk food than it is to eat a healthy diet of fruits and vegetables. And I tell about the time that I did an experiment. I was like, I like to go to the farmer's market, just the whole variety of different cultural foods and ingredients they have are available. But I said, I shop at Publix and Kroger and Safeway, and I do a lot of the plant-based stuff there. I got my fruits and vegetables there. I said, let me go to the farmer's market and see if there is a difference, because if there's a difference, I want to know so that I know how to share that information and help people to do better. Well, what I was spending at the grocery store, the neighborhood grocery store, for my weekly supply of groceries ended up being like $40, $50. I went to the farmer's market and came out with the same amount of whole plant fruits and vegetables, $20.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, there is something to this. And then I thought, okay, we're all so busy. We've got all of these busy lives, right? I don't have time. I've got to stop at Wendy's or KFC or whoever. And I don't have time to do this. And one of the things one of the doctors kind of put in front of me was, well, do your fresh stuff and freeze it. Use half of it for the week and freeze the other half and then bring it out. You've got 2 weeks worth of staples, right? And then I thought, well, geez, suppose I don't have time to do all of that. And is there another alternative? And of course, shopping in the frozen food section is another close bet to your fresh fruits and vegetables. And so, I think that a lot of times people just don't know. You don't know what you don't know until you have this opportunity. And I love what you're bringing out as far as the grassroots ambassadors. That is us. We're the ones that are affecting change within our families and our communities. And I was in a precarious situation when I really got serious about changing my diet. It wasn't what my family was eating. And I was the one preparing the meals. And it got hard to tell them, I can't do this anymore. First of all, I really would like to focus on my own health and getting better and staying healthy. And so I can do things with you. But the other thing is I need to test these things out because I'd like to bring them to you. And, so there is a journey in time that we have to go on. And I love that the grassroots ambassadors being supported and encouraged about changing their own mindset around how to affect the change beyond themselves. And so tell us one more time about the Grassroots Ambassador certification. When is it? How can people get to it? And remember, we're going to post the links below, so don't worry about whether or not you'll be able to find the information. But Peter, tell us a little bit more about that again.
Certainly. So the event is June 23rd. And if you go to weDIDit.Summits.com, you'll see all the information about it, all the wonderful speakers, your benefits for joining us, which is all the content live, plus the certification, plus 3 months of membership in the group, so that we can have the conversations about how do we support somebody else to inspire them, as well as conversations about how do we support each other. And Belin, what you said about your cooking for your family and how challenging it is, those are the kinds of things I think we need to support each other on, because it's really difficult. It's difficult to be rejected, and people don't want to hear about the benefits for themselves, but then they're really imposing on our lives, and they're making it difficult for ourselves to live the life that we really want and live the lifestyle and the diet that we really want. So June 23rd, weDIDit.Summits.com, and come for the content. We have some amazing speakers, and I shame on me, I think I've forgotten to mention that actually our keynote speaker is Dr. McDougall, who's one of the absolute leaders of this movement, and he's going to speak about the title of his talk is plant-based nutrition for health, for climate change, and for COVID. So I think he's going to share some research and information about how this is so important, not just for the chronic diseases that everybody's been talking about, but as long as we're supporting our immune system, and that's really what a whole food plant-based diet and lifestyle does, is it builds up our immune system. And we sure know from absolutely everybody, starting with the CDC, that people with a weak immune system have fared a whole lot worse through COVID. And I think Dr. McDougall is going to address some of that link and show us how being plant-based makes us stronger, gives us anything from more energy to be able to do what we really love to do, to fewer aches and pains, right down to the most life-threatening and severe chronic diseases that so many people suffer from. So come to the summit, get all this content, go through the certification program. So Dr. Sally Lipsky, she's a doctor, but not a medical doctor. Her doctorate is in education. So we are really blessed to have somebody who has a doctorate in education to create this program that we can benefit from and learn from and learn to be better ambassadors. So really it's about us having the satisfaction of watching people around us thrive with better health and enjoy their lives. And as caring, compassionate people, we all really want that. We want to be able to share this incredible truth with people we care about and see them thrive and have a happy, healthy life.
I totally agree. And I really would like for people to actually know too that while the summit is going on, and they're going to be such fabulous presentations, there's also a curriculum around this. And Dr. Lipsky has put together something that really will equip and empower you to be able to, like Peter said, go out and affect a greater change. And, change outside of ourselves really begins with ourselves. And when you have the ability to say, I'm a happy, healthy, vegan, whole food, plant-based vegan, it shows. People see that, and it's also magnetizing. And that's one of the really great things about what's going to happen on June 23rd is all about as well. And, whether you're a health practitioner who's in this space and want your clients and patients and customers to learn more about this, you need to know how to have the conversations and open the conversations so that there is more interest and people gravitate more towards you when you have that ability. And so, Peter, thank you for being here with me today. I'm just so excited. I plan on being at the summit myself, getting the certification. Even being a part of the team has been such an honor for me, seeing and meeting all of these amazing people who are on this journey and want others to benefit from the knowledge and experiences that they bring to the table. So, Peter, as we're wrapping things up, is there something that you want our audience to know, something that inspires them, that empowers them to not just be a part of the summit and the community that's being built around all of this, but as they're just going on in their lives and making an impact, even if they don't think they are?
Well, I love how you wrapped up that question, even if they don't think they are. So, that's a really important point because, we really don't always know how we impact somebody else. And so, and part of what we're doing, and I personally believe that we should define success as planting a seed. So if we can plant the seed, we've succeeded. So we may, we'll say the right thing to the right person. We'll show them the right information, and they may not react. They may not act on it immediately. It may take for them to see something else or the same thing time and again a handful of times, and then they'll say, "Oh yeah, you know what? This is something I want to act on." So yes, let's keep doing it. Let's do it with confidence. Let's bring up our energy around it. Let's not just get pushed away and shut down. I think so many of us have really taken our game down several notches just because we've been rejected so much. So step into it. If you're benefiting, then let other people know and find the most effective. Pay attention to how people are reacting and keep doing it, and let's step into it with pride. It's vegan pride, it's plant-based pride is what we're looking to bring out, and really the pride and the hope that we really are contributing, and the satisfaction that we are contributing.
Beautiful. I love that. And you're so right. It's even changing those of us who might be, say, pescatarian or some other vegetarian, and we're looking at veganism with a skewed understanding. The whole concept of compassion is huge when it comes to being in this space. Compassion for self, compassion for others, compassion for the animals, for the climate, for the planet. I mean, it goes out beyond that, but it does begin with us. And I so appreciate what you brought to our audience and the words of wisdom that you've given us to wrap things up. Thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you, Velan.
And
Namaste, vegan.
namaste, vegan.
Thank
And
you.
to our audience, stay with us, be with us, share this show, this video, share the podcast. June 23rd is a little ways away, so there's time for you to help us to expand the reach that we have and invite others. And there's a whole lot of other opportunities there that you'll be able to see too. Check the links below this video and make sure that you see everything, because there's a way for you to also benefit from being a part of our community and being a part of this event to make contributions to your favorite charity. So won't go into the details of all of that right now, but you will find more information in one of the links below. So until next time, be well. Thank you again for joining us. Remember, live, love, and be a positive impact maker in your world. And we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you.